Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes before I get started. And you all see the title, you all understand what this video is about. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. I want at least a couple of people to come in here before I get started. This is gonna be a short hangout. I'm not gonna draw this out too long because I have a couple of things that I have to do. I may do another hangout at a later time where I allow people to join the discussion. So I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes. I see a few people are here. Can you all hear me okay? Am I choppy? Is there any issue with buffering? If everything's fine, put a 1 in the chat room. I would appreciate it. I see at least a couple of people here are here. Y'all can let me know if you can hear me okay. I would appreciate it. Then we'll get right to it. Throw your ones up if you can hear me okay. All right, I guess people can hear me fine. I don't see any complaints. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So as many people know, you've all heard about this Kanye West, going on Instagram and posting 4 videos, like real short videos, talking about his wife, basically telling people to keep her name out of their mouths. You have him basically calling out Drake because apparently Drake put out some song where he's kind of like using a play on words, suggesting that he had been with Kim Kardashian. And then you have Nick Cannon, who apparently was in a relationship with Kim Kardashian. I was watching a video on Vlad TV, and basically he was talking about why he broke up with Kim Kardashian, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why Kanye West is salty. And that was like some time ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's made some recent statements about Kim Kardashian, which prompted this. And then you also have Kanye West calling out this model by the name of Tyson Beckford, calling him out for mentioning Kim Kardashian's name as well. As you all know, he's married to Kim Kardashian. They have children together. And he's basically taking a stand that he doesn't want anybody disrespecting his family or speaking of his family at all. And he's basically telling these guys to keep his wife's name out of their mouth. And, he was real calm about it. Like he's walking near L train in New York. And he's just, I mean, not New York, in Chicago. He's like in Chicago walking near the train. And he's just talking on his phone. And he did these short videos. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'll post links in the description box once I get a chance to. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk about this real briefly. This isn't like rocket science or anything like this. This is pop culture. And every now and then, I like to talk about these simple topics. But, the first thing I'll say is this, obviously a man should defend his family, should defend his wife, publicly, not just physically, but, with his words and with his actions. So in that sense, it's commendable that he would speak out in defense of his wife, to try to defend his wife. Now, the problem is usually when people are defending someone, they're defending their honor, like you're defending your wife's honor. And here we have a difficult situation. Before I continue on, I'll just shout out Nikki Justice, shout out to George Tinker, and shout out to UCBX. Shout out to you. Shout out to Big Game Orenthal James. But yeah, I was saying that usually it's about defending a woman's honor. But here we're in a different type of situation because we have a woman here that doesn't have any honor. This is a woman who has basically been passed around Hollywood, around like all these athletes and all that, so this is a woman who has honor to defend. This is a woman who got famous by putting out a sex tape. This is a woman who is regularly, exposing her body on social media, basically practically naked, on social media for the whole world to see. So it's hard for somebody to defend the honor of a person that doesn't really have any honor. It's hard to defend the reputation of somebody who doesn't have a good reputation. So that's the situation that Kanye West is in, unfortunately. And, he just violated basic rules of, what a man should do. I mean, we've heard all this stuff before. A man really shouldn't marry or be in a serious relationship with a harlot. And, I'm just going to break it down, because a woman is loose like that, that gets around, like Tupac basically sung about, like how he got around. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But, a woman like that gets around, a woman is very loose, a woman is a harlot. That kind of woman is going to end up breaking your heart. Either she's going to get in an affair with another man, or because of all this baggage that comes along with her, that's going to adversely affect your marriage or your relationship. And then also, I mean, a lot of these women that get around like that, a lot of them are manipulative, so they'll use a man for his money or for his fame or for what he can give them, what he can provide for them, for the temporary time period. And after they have used that man up, milked him dry for whatever they can get from him, they discard him. Often a lot of times, a harlot will take a man for his money, get him caught up with alimony, end up taking his half of his wealth and all that kind of stuff. So those are things that people need to be careful of. I mean, a lot of times a woman that has that kind of track record is not going to be a woman that's loyal to you. This is the woman that's going to betray you. So, I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure by getting in a relationship with this type of woman. You're setting yourself up for a situation like this where you got this man, Kanye West, trying to defend the honor of a woman who has no honor. This woman has become a celebrity now. And since so many people have been with this woman, these people are automatically going to be asked about this when they're interviewed. They're going to be asked about what was it like being with Kim Kardashian? Why did you end your relationship with Kim Kardashian? I mean, she, unfortunately, is like one of those women that, that are passed around in frat houses, or one of those women that has been through the whole football team. And one of these women in Hollywood that's been with all these famous people. So when these famous people get on the media and they're asked about these questions and stuff like that, they're going to talk about it. And as far as I know, Nick Cannon hasn't been disrespectful. I haven't seen any interview that he's done that was disrespectful. He did do that interview, as I was saying before, on Vlad TV, where he was basically saying that he broke up with Kim Kardashian because she wasn't honest about that sex tape. And you all know she did a sex tape with this guy, Ray J, a long time ago. And, that's part of what catapulted her career. But Nick Cannon basically said, well, she wasn't being honest about that. Like, when he asked her if there was some tape coming out, she denied it. And then she changed her story gradually and this and that. And then because of her deception, he ended that relationship. And that's all that he basically said. He wasn't calling her no hoes or bitches or none of that kind of stuff. And I think that despite her reputation, if he had been disrespectful like that, then Kanye West would be obviously within his right to defend his wife, regardless of her sexual history or whatever. As a man, you can't let somebody disrespect your wife. And, in that sense, I do respect Kanye West for standing up for his wife, regardless of her history and stuff. So that's one thing. And then like with Drake, as I was saying before, Drake basically alluded to a claim that he had sex with Kim Kardashian. He's not directly saying that, and it may not even be true, but he's putting it out there. And part of the reason why he's putting that stuff out there is because he has beef with Kanye West, because Kanye West produced some tracks that Pusha T used to diss Drake. So for that reason, Drake is putting out these disses toward, these subliminal disses toward Kanye West. He did like a remix of one of his songs, like during a concert, and he dissed Kanye West then. And this is just a continuation of that. And, So that's what that's about. And I understand why Kanye West did what he did, like why he decided to speak out against Drake. But this other stuff about Tyson and Nick Cannon, I think that he's too wrapped up in his emotions, man. I think that he has to get control of his emotions. I mean, if you're in a situation where you married a public figure, you know that this public figure has been with all kinds of famous men. She's getting around, sleeping with all these guys before. She has a history with all these people. You know that they're going to be talking about that. And if you're not prepared to deal with that, then you shouldn't have been you shouldn't have married that type of woman. If you knew what you were getting into, so if you know what you're getting into, you shouldn't be fazed by that history and stuff like that. And really, I think in the big scheme of things, like a person's past, their past and all that kind of stuff, that shouldn't be like baggage into, this brought into the new relationship. That all that baggage about past relationships and who somebody was with before, all of that stuff shouldn't be brought into your current relationship. And unfortunately, because these people are public figures, all their stuff is being aired out. And, as I was listening to this other YouTuber, this guy, Jordan Towers, he was talking about this situation, and he was basically suggesting that their marriage is in trouble. And that may be true. But I just think that Kanye West needs to have better control over his emotions, man. He really shouldn't be fazed by this stuff. I mean, this comes with the territory. And, perhaps this is all hype. That's another thing that people have mentioned, like around the time when he has some album coming out or some project coming out, he stirs up a lot of this controversy. We saw all the controversy that he created before he released, his album, Ye, and, Nas's album and Pusha T's album. He created all this controversy by, getting out here supporting Trump and wearing that "Make America Great" hat again, and all that kind of stuff. That generated a lot of controversy, and that brings attention to his project. And perhaps this is another way of ginning up controversy and publication and publicity for his upcoming project. Maybe that's what this is all about. And I got to admit, I mean, his marketing skills are great in terms of bringing people's attention to issues. Like when he made those ridiculous statements about slavery, he had everybody talking about him. And right now he has everybody talking about him as well, because he's talking about all these famous celebrities, and, he's talking about his wife and all that kind of stuff, stirring up trouble, much like with Eminem. Eminem has created a lot of controversy recently with his album release, where he's going after all these people. Because for the most part, like, even though Eminem's last album sold well, because he's Eminem, it didn't garner the same kind of attention or praise that this new album is getting. And I think part of the praise that he's getting is because he's going after all these people and bringing all this attention to his project. And essentially, that's what you have Kanye West doing by creating all this controversy. But yeah, the bottom line is I just think that he needs to get his emotions in check. And there are times when it's appropriate to defend somebody, to defend your wife, obviously, and your children and your family. And, for that, I commend him for at least standing up to these people and saying something about it. But I just think that his timing is off. And I don't think that these particular statements were that disrespectful, other than Drake. Now, Drake was probably disrespectful, but these other two people, I think he's doing a little too much with that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is hypocrisy, like in terms of men and women. Like, often, like when a woman is promiscuous, she's condemned, she's called a hoe, she's called a slut and all this kind of stuff. But it's perfectly okay, in the minds of many people, for a man to have all these multiple partners, all these women and stuff like that. When a man does that, he's basically a man. He's viewed as like, being an alpha man. He's viewed as being like a desirable man, somebody that should be admired. He gets cool points, and he's supposed to be the man because of that, because of his promiscuity. And, for a woman, her reputation is trashed and stuff like that. And I just think that that's a matter of hypocrisy. The same men that are running to do these videos here on YouTube about how much of a hoe, basically, or thought that Kim Kardashian is. These same people don't have nothing to say. I've never heard them describe men in that kind of way, even though a lot of men engage in, the same type of behavior, but men are celebrated for it. And men's reputation aren't tarnished at all. I mean, nobody's saying like Ray J is a horrible person because he did that sex tape or anything like that. Nobody says that at all. And I just think that that's hypocrisy, man. And, when you think about like these women that are sleeping around, they're sleeping with somebody. Like all these men that slept with this woman, none of them are being condemned. Like none of these guys that have all these multiple women are being condemned. And I just think that, I just think that people need to be fair. I think that people need to judge men and women by similar standards. I'm not saying that men and women are the same or whatever. And I understand the sanctity of the woman as a mother, as the one that teaches the children and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that. But I just think that too often we deal in hypocrisy. Nobody is condemning, the guys for doing the similar behavior, for, being with a Kim Kardashian, or, being with all these multiple women and this and that. These guys are celebrated. And I just think that that's hypocrisy. If you're against like promiscuity or, what you consider to be like, immoral behavior, then you got to be consistent. And I think that that's one of the things that's missing just in this society, man. And that's part of the sexism that exists. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on this real quick. I'm going to go through your comments. I didn't want to keep y'all too long, man. But yeah, I just thought that this raises a lot of great points, man. This whole issue of what happened with Kanye West and what's going on with him, man. And like, I don't like to use the term, but my man Psycho, basically has this saying where he said that simp culture is dangerous, man. And this is a prime example of it. I think that it's a form of like really simping when you get in this find yourself in this kind of situation, man. Not simping in terms of defending your woman and defending her, and all that kind of stuff. I think that that's a good thing, even under these kind of circumstances. But when you allow yourself to be caught up into a situation where you end up marrying somebody that has no like integrity, somebody that has no honor, somebody that is loose and has no class, man. This is the woman that got famous by putting out a videotape, a sexual tape or whatever. That's how she got put on the map. But anyway, I'm going to go to your comments real quick. Before I close out, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Let's see. Big Game Orenthal said his girl's a slut. Nothing wrong with being a slut, but don't act like she's not a slut. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man, because it's like, why are you? I mean, he's acting like all surprised that all these people are talking about her. And, they're talking about their past relationships with her and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he shouldn't be surprised. He knows her history. I mean, he knows that she's been with all these famous people. So he shouldn't be shocked at all. Still Learning made a good point. I can't see from your icon if you're a woman or a man, but Still Learning said that Kanye is a hypocrite. He talked so bad about Amber Rose after he got with Kim, but now he's trying to defend Kim's hoish behavior. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, he bashed Amber Rose, and I understand why somebody would bash Amber Rose. I mean, but I don't. That's a whole nother subject. But then he's dealing with Kim Kardashian like she's some kind of angel or whatever. Like she's somebody of high character and of high value, and honor and dignity and stuff. When we know that the opposite is true. Big Game Orenthal said, Tariq said that Kanye's tired of seeing dudes that smash Kim on TV. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Like, I mean, since he's been with so many people, man, it's like the average person, like if you get into a relationship with a woman that's been around town or whatever, that's been ran through by a whole bunch of people, it's not like, it's not so public like it is with a Kanye West, because like a lot of the people that Kim Kardashian is with or has been with are people that are famous and people that are going to be interviewed, people that are going to be constantly asked about their relationship with Kim Kardashian. So it's going to come up over and over again. He's going to have to constantly hear for the rest of his life about all these guys that slept with Kim Kardashian. And we know as men, like we don't really want to hear much about our woman's sexual past and all that stuff, and sexual conquest and so-called body count and all that kind of stuff. We don't want to hear that stuff. But like with him, he's forced to hear it, man. He's forced to hear all these interviews that all these guys have done where they're talking about Kim Kardashian and their experience with her. And that's just messed up. It's a messed up situation, man. So I can understand his frustration, but he knew what he was getting when he married her. He knew what he was getting when he hooked up with her. Shout out to Evan King. What's up with you? I'm good. Yeah, still learning, said not trying to defend Amber, but her and Kim are cut from the same whole cloth. Yeah, man, it's a messed up situation, man. Oh, shout out to Jersey Girl, 732. What's going on with you? Thanks, Nikki, for thanking, encouraging people to like the video and to share the video. I appreciate that. Yeah, like the video, man, because when you like the video, it shows up in your stream and stuff, and that brings more attention to the video. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. I talk about a wide range of subjects. So one minute you will hear me talking about something like this, dealing with pop culture. The next minute I could be talking about like religion or something, or philosophy, and then I'm talking about politics. So this is a channel that deals with a wide range of different things. I could talk about relationships one minute, the next minute I'm talking about hip hop. So yeah, support this channel. Yeah, they were cool, Nikki, until this whole Pusher T controversy, because Kanye West produces Pusha T. So he puts out, the tracks that Pusha T is used. He's on, Pusha T is on his label and stuff. And as you know, Pusha T basically went at Drake. He destroyed Drake. He aired out Drake. He put out his information about his baby mother and his child that nobody knew about and all this and that. Trashed his baby mother. So I could understand why Drake would be mad at Kanye West for basically low-key co-signing that stuff. I'll be mad too. If somebody is producing somebody's beats that's going after me and stuff. So I understand why Drake is mad at Kanye West, and I understand why Kanye West is now mad at Drake. So hold on, y'all, 1 second. Virgo Life said he needs some stronger pills. Yeah, that's messed up. um, yeah, so I'll say this, man. And then the one thing that I found that was interesting from those little video clips that Kanye West did. In the first clip, he said that he got out of the sunken place. So now that he got out of the sunken place, he can think more clearly and he can respond to all these people. I thought that was funny because it's like he knows that he's in. It's funny that he actually knows that he's in a sunken place and he's joking about it. And because he's definitely. I mean, it makes you think like, is he really in a sunken place, like in a real sense? Because he's like, I'm emerged from a sunken place, man. And you know why people said he was in a sunken place? His blind support for Donald Trump. you know, wearing that Make America Great Again hat and all that kind of stuff. After calling out George Bush for not caring about black people, he's supporting a man that has made it abundantly clear that he doesn't give a damn about black people for real. So yeah, I mean, I understand why he's been called as being in the sunken place and all this and that. He epitomizes that, but he basically said that he's out of the sunken place now. So I can't wait to see what he's going to say, like if he's going to change his tune about Trump or what. But yeah, I mean, with him saying those things about slavery and stuff like that, it made it obvious to everybody that he was in a sunken place. But let's continue on. George Tinker said he was looking real simpish. Checking more than one guy over his woman makes him look undermined and not in control of his situation. Now people know his weakness. Wow, yeah, that's true, man. So all they got to do now, like if these people got beef with him, all they got to do is put out a song just going ham on his wife, man. Just trashing his wife, talking about how much slut she is and this and that. That's how they can get at him. And it kind of reminds me of that movie Fresh, where they basically talked about how, you know, there's a scene where what's his name? Samuel Jackson is talking to this character, this young guy that's like a great chess player. And he's basically telling this guy that some players, if you go after their queen, that throws off their whole game in chess. And for people that don't know about chess, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board. So some players, like if you go after their queen, they'll get so distracted that they'll get off their square and they'll lose their strategic planning and all that kind of stuff, and they'll be wiped out. That's basically what he was saying in that film, and that's what's happening with Kanye West. I mean, he's allowing himself to get off balance. He's allowing himself to lose focus. You know, by, you know, getting distracted by this issue of people doing these little interviews where they're talking about his wife and they're not even being really disrespectful at that. But it is a sign of weakness, man. It's a sign of weakness that he's so sensitive about these little interviews that these people are doing, where they're simply mentioning the fact that they were in a relationship with this woman. They're not calling her out. They're not dissing her or anything like that. So I see, yeah, what up to Dre the Dream? Thanks for tuning in. If you're not subbed, you should sub. So Big Game, Orenthal James said the women are the ones that determine that promiscuous guys are more desirable. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like you're basically saying that the women are attracted to the guys that are getting around. And I mean, the fact that they're able to be with multiple women and stuff like that, that tells you that they're desired and stuff like that. So there's something to what you're saying. I understand your point. Yeah, shout out to Psycho, man. His he did a video title that I keep using when I talk about this issue, where he says like simp culture is dangerous. And that's true, man. So I'm just looking at your comments. So Black Power 25 said, I don't like Kanye, but it seems like Kanye's become the one that everybody attacks. And we're going to sit up here and think that Jay-Z, T.I., and Diddy weren't cooning. Yeah, I hear you. Like, you can say that they were cooning in the sense of like the negativity that they were promoting, like in terms of the negative stuff like drugs and violence and stuff like that, especially for like Jay-Z, T.I., and Snoop. You know, they really promoted a lot of that stuff, a lot of negative things that are damaging to our community. So you can say that they're coons in that sense, but at least in the past. But now they've changed a lot of their messaging and their whole format. Like a T.I. is talking about political issues now. he's become politicized. The same is true for Snoop, even Snoop Dogg. You know, somebody that glorified gang life and all that kind of stuff is now talking politics. And even Jay-Z, you know, Jay-Z has supported, you know, groups like Black Lives Matter and other positive charities and all that kind of stuff. So they're moving, some of them, they're moving in the right direction in many ways. And they're supporting progressive, you know, some of them have supported progressive candidates as well. So that's a positive thing. So, but I understand your point though. Yeah, so Lord Praiseless said Kanye needs to check his entire family for appropriating Black culture. He's just telling the truth about Kim. Yeah, he really does need to do that because we've seen like how those Kardashians and those, you know, Jenners have basically pimped Black culture in a lot of ways to for their own benefit, you know, in many ways. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. You all are familiar with that. Yeah, and Black Power 25 said, and we forgot about Drake doing blackface. So fuck him too. Yeah, I mean, that's real, man. You know, the fact that Drake did blackface, it's like, no, everybody, when we saw that picture, we were like, man, that has to be like photoshopped or something. But it's actually a photograph of Drake in blackface. And he tried to come up with all these rationalizations for it and this and that, trying to explain it away. But there's no excuse for wearing blackface, man. That's obviously an example of coonery and buffoonery. Oh, shout out to Elaine Lloyd. She said, it's been a long time since I caught you live. Yeah, it's been a minute because I'm not really on here live like that. I'm going to try to do more live streams because I like to interact with you all live. It's better than just recording a video because it's like, it's different when you're just sitting in front of a camera talking to yourself basically than when you're actually interacting with people live. So I'm glad you're tuning in. Elaine Lloyd said, maybe don't marry a woman who got famous off a sex tape. Exactly. Oh, Nikki Justice said Kanye sung deeper in the place. Shout out to Ghost Rider. What's good with you? Shout out to Dave Bowman. And thanks for supporting the channel, Nikki. I really appreciate that. Kevin Smith said Kanye is going to get his ass beat. I don't know about that, man. He got so much security. I'm sure he got his people ready for something to pop off. But yeah, the funny thing is, like after he said all this, Nick Cannon basically said, you're not going to check me. I'll say whatever I want to say. I mean, he said that he's been respectful and all that kind of stuff, but he's not going to let anybody tell him what he can and cannot say. Yeah, so I just wanted to hop on here for a second. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Again, you know, I encourage you all to subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed, like the video, share the video. And also, I want to remind you that on September 30th, I'm going to have a live Google Hangout with media mogul Brandy Mitchell. So look out for that. It should be a great discussion. She has a new book out. She has like 4 books, and her latest book is an inspirational, motivational type of book based on her experiences in, you know, marching band in high school and in college. So check that out. Also, she has a film by the title of March and Drive, or Point. No, it's called Point and Drive. So I hope you all can check out that Google Hangout, which is coming again on September 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you for supporting New Possibilities. Peace.